I'd been seeing a bunch of articles over the last couple of days saying, New York, I think it was New York, but Trump expected to be charged with tax evasion and da-da-da-da-da. And even as early as this morning saying it was going to happen on Thursday. I just saw this.
That's right. I was hearing about that.
I saw this right before the podcast started, so I really haven't had a chance to read through it fully. I skimmed it. But it looks like typical Trump fashion, all his followers and supporters get screwed, and he walks away scot clean.
Let me rephrase that title for you. Trump's CFO did some illegal shit, and Trump didn't.
Dude, this is Fox. This is on Fox. You don't have to twist your own twisting.
You can't tell me that if the CFO did something illegal that Trump wasn't somehow involved or knowledgeable of it. You can't tell me that.
That's pure speculation there, homie. That's
pure speculation. Let me rephrase it. The first employee of Trump ever to be charged with a criminal... Oh, no, wait. The only remaining employee of Trump that wasn't charged with criminal activity now has been. Like... At some point, you have to just realize that he is as crooked as you can get, and he's really good at shielding himself, like mobsters and other things, right? Like,
I've been watching Narcos, and I'm just saying, like Pablo Escobar was only charged with minimum drug trafficking, and it just at this point, I've accepted that we live in a very flawed society where the rich and powerful are not held to the same legal standards as the three of us.
So, let me ask you about that. So I wanted to, because there's also very elaborate systems of this, that, and the other thing, and some things get quasi-illegal and whatnot. Like, it gets complicated for sure. But, Chris, I've been wanting to ask you kind of about this kind of stuff. So, like, the Southern District of New York Attorney General, or whatever it was, I believe I have the correct station there. She got elected basically on the promise that she was going to prosecute Donald Trump for crimes. And she was not specific about what crimes because they don't know what crimes that Donald Trump had committed at the time. Yet she got elected on that campaign promise. And so since then, the Southern District of New York has been a hammer in search of a nail at the Trump organizations looking for crimes that they're not aware of. And I gotta ask you, how is that fair at all? So Trump was a very anti-establishment character, right? Especially in New York. They took particular offense to him. So the establishment came after him looking for crimes. And I'm not saying that, if he committed the crime, he doesn't deserve to go to jail for it. What I'm saying is that how is that fair that you being the anti-establishment candidate brings all of this down on you when you're just like how's that fair? Your political opponents get to not only target you, but get elected on the basis of targeting your organizations.
How is it fair that by putting myself in the national spotlight and bringing massive attention and division to the country because of my actions and to myself, that people are going to actively investigate my actions?
Every divisive, you're telling me that every candidate out there that's divisive gets to have their whole life turned over with a fine-tooth comb by the IRS in the Southern District of New York, without knowing that there's a crime.
Well, let me just say it this way: like, first and foremost, if the narrative you gave is accurate, then yeah, I would agree that's unfair. Secondly, I'm just going to quickly: all presidents, anyone who runs for public office, just has to accept their life's going to be turned upside down, and they're going to be judged as if they're supposed to be something they're not. And that's just the reality of it. Every single public official is a human. Who am I to cast the throne, right? The stone, that type of mentality. But yet we all cast the stone. Finally, to my understanding, and I have to do some review on this because I'm definitely on the spot right now.
I know you're accepting my premise, so...
I believe there was a significant amount of suits that wanted to be brought before Trump, but when you're the president, you can't be sued. And so I think there were financial issues, settlement cases, tax evasion, there's sexual assault cases.
Right.
These things couldn't actually be brought before the president because he was the president. But now that he's not the president, there's now the ecosystem, there's the breathing room to now finally bring suits against him. I think that is where I would imagine she campaigned on, but I could be wrong. But I think that's where these suits are materializing. At least that's from the little I've read on it, that's what the left is most likely would say.
Yeah, and I was going to say that too. Is that I had heard that all of these different charges and investigations were trying to be underway or waiting for him to not be president to get underway because of exactly what Chris said. So I don't. If your premise is true, it is what I was trying to say before. Is it's not fair, but it is what you expect when, as Chris said better than I did, entering the public servant realm. That's what happens to you, right? Like, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, your entire life is picked through, and that's kind of the direction that I was trying to say originally.
Right.
So,
I think it's.
Let me just say, if I ever run for office, you better believe some PR firm is going to have like 20 interns watching every second of this podcast. You're going to see.
Oh my God! Yeah, they're like, oh, clip it.
You're going to see.
He just said he hates paper straws.
You're going to see at least plus 40 views on every single one of our podcasts.
Yeah, exactly. Like, well, hey, thanks. You guys got us monetized. You pushed us over the hill there. We appreciate it. Now I don't need this job, so.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was interesting that the CFO got hit and Trump didn't. But everything I saw said they were going to charge Trump tomorrow. So I don't know if that article from Fox was premature or not. Like, they may still come out and charge Trump. They just got the CFO today. Right. I don't know. Well,
I know they were trying to get him to flip. I got to say, look, if that story, again, if we accept the story's premise, like all of the news cycle about it, which I have a hard time doing, but if we accept the premise that they've been leaning on the CFO and trying to get him to flip on Trump, and he didn't talk, I mean, that CFO's like, as soon as he gets out of jail, hire him for your company. Because that guy, you know, didn't make a deal. No, like, I don't know if there was a deal to make, so maybe that's why he didn't make it, but like, no, he didn't flip on Trump.
Maybe the CFO knows that Trump was really close with Epstein and McAfee, and both of those guys were about to flip.
Oh, God.
So
McAfee.